This podcast was produced by OAR FM Dunedin with support from New Zealand On Air.
Kia ora and welcome to the OI Podcast, the podcast from the Otago Institute for Arts, Science and Mataranga Māori. We're the Otago branch of Te Aparanga, the Royal Society of New Zealand. And of course, this is brought to you by the fabulous radio show, Otago Access, or I should say station, Otago Access Radio at 105.4 FM. Or you can listen to us on any platform that your favourite podcast is, Spotify, Apple Podcasts and whatever. You can tell I just listen live, you can listen online, so yeah, you don't have to hook into stuff. But anyway, it's Trudy, you know, the jack of all trades, master of none, and the master, Dr. Barb, is away at some sort of knitting expo, like knitting radio shows. Like, she's got to get her priorities right. But anyway, it's a beautiful Friday today. It is the 6th of March and the weather's just amazing. Someone might have finally arrived. But we have with us live in the studio today, director Harry Almey. So welcome, Harry, to the program.
Hello, thank you for having me today. It is such a lovely day.
It's fantastic, yes. So, Harry, you trained in the Theatre Studies program at the University of Otago. So tell us a bit about that.
Yes, indeed I have. I've plied away three years of my life, half of a Bachelor of Arts, in the mighty hallowed halls of Allen Hall Theatre. Theatre Studies is an excellent degree. It's not, it is a jack of all trades, master of none. It prepares you for a wide variety of industry items, anything from backstage to acting to directing.
And so, yes, and you've done all of that, I guess?
Oh, yes. My directing teacher was well fed up with me. I said, Sir, I've directed before this class. What could... What?
Oh, wow. Yeah. Swap places. So, the project you're working on now is the Goons show, and we'll come to the Goons in a minute. But where do you get your people from to do this? Are these your co-students or...
Yeah, it is essentially your co-students. That is a rather underrated part of going to university. There are a lot of people who are doing quite well, and also quite well in the Fringe Festival in theatrical arts, who have never been to university or to the theatre studies programme. But there's something about practising together, training together, having those shared ideas and concepts and working together that just brings you on to networking.
Right.
So, right. Yes, I can talk about each of my lovely cast individually. I've memorised everything about them. They're superb. They're superb. And my crew.
Yes, we might come back to that too.
Yes.
So it's not about what you know as much about who you know. Like anything in life, it's about making those connections. And so you would have built some of those connections through your previous experience in the Dunedin theatre community. So you might want to tell us a bit about that.
Yes. So there's a lot of excellent art in the Fringe Festival from people who are university students who are new to Dunedin or from totally out of town. But I have had the joy of living in Dunedin since 2017 and have generally plying away my trade since 2019. It was an excellent thing to step out of the confines of the classroom and into community theatre at places such as the Playhouse Theatre and the Globe Theatre, where you're able to take what you're taught and to play around with it, ply your trade. So I was quite prominently featured in toy box productions back when they were still running at the Globe Theatre, lovely little low-budget prop comedy sketch performances. And I've gone on to perform in pantomimes, local shows last year at the Globe, and just bits and bobs here and there, and directed a few productions as well in the community sphere.
Right. Sounds like a lot of fun, and everybody loves a really good panto. And something that perhaps isn't so traditional here in New Zealand, but it's just the humour of it. I think it does get a bit more traditional as we get on. But you've also been in the capping show. Indeed I have.
The capping show is so incredible. I would recommend every student try at least to be in the capping show once, because that does really cap off the student experience. Such incredible, raucous, energetic comedy that certainly has been helpful with getting to know people and developing a certain confidence with that sort of comedy.
Yes, it is quite a style of comedy, and you have to go along and be very open-minded, but it's hilarious.
I can't recount many sketches on the radio. I don't think that would be in keeping with the rules. I can't repeat what I said.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. What are the rules? But never mind. But
dear.
So the Fringe Theatre, can you tell us a bit about what that is? Because that's on the 12th to the 26th March, is it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, for me, the Fringe Festival starts on the 13th of March and ends on the 15th of March. And then afterwards, I shall be retiring, luxuriating, watching fine theatre, but it shan't be Fringe for me. The Fringe Festival is a lovely... Oh, God... You can put on theatre whenever you like, but the Fringe Festival provides such opportunities and advertising and just being able to see it, that it is an excellent opportunity, just a safe little opportunity for you to dip your toe into the danger and the risk of spending money to make money off theatre. It helps it gives students an opportunity.
So do you have to apply to have your show?
Yes.
And how does that work?
The Fringe Festival, at least in Dunedin, does not discriminate because it puts a lot of responsibilities onto you, the artist, in terms of making money, providing advertising things. If you don't do a good show and you don't make any money, the Fringe Festival isn't involved in that. They don't curate what they put on every year unless it's something awfully racist, basically.
Right.
So you apply, you pay a fee, you pay a fee for the services they provide,
right,
and you hope that you get an excellent return on profit because it is an excellent opportunity, and I would recommend it to all local artists.
So they provide the vehicle in which you can then put your show on. Yeah.
They help with discounts for hiring out theatres, which is usually a big part of the cost.
Right.
They help a great deal with marketing as well. I mean, you will. It's such fiddly little but very essential details, like a 15% discount on printing out lovely laminated A3 posters that just do such a great job at promoting your show.
Yeah, and I think so. Then thinking about that, you're directing a show, but what's the difference between a director and a producer? Because I thought the director did the kind of stage work and the producer did all the money and the promoting it, or is there do they mix?
The gist in theatre is that you could run a skeleton crew theatre job and you can really condense roles, but that's not ideal. You really want to have that separation. You don't want your cast doing all your social media work. You don't want your cast making all your costumes. You want to be able to split that out so people don't overwork themselves. So I, as the director, have the excellent opportunity to focus on the creative aspects, and my wonderful award-winning producer Jordan Witchman can worry about the money and all of that. It just frees up space in my head, relieves a bit of stress, means we can all do our job to the best of our ability.
And so the producer has to keep you to budget.
Yes, the producer has to keep me to budget. Indeed they do.
And so how do you agree that? Is it an arm wrestle at the table at the cook on a Friday night or something?
Not really. To be honest, there's the budget, and then there's a consideration of if there's any extra cost, we might siphon that off from profits.
Right.
Or we might say, right, this is my first professional show. I love my cast, I love my crew, I love my productions. I might just make a few kindly donations to the budget.
Right, I see.
Yeah.
I see.
It's definitely not. It's not like a budget in a high institution where there are a lot of rules. We are just a team.
A team. Yeah. And so how many are in your team for this production?
Across the Steps Beyond season, an excellent grouping that I'm a part of, there are 31. My production boasts of a cast of 4 and a crew of, I believe, 5. So my group, including, I think, Jordan, you'd say 10.
Right. Oh, cool.
Yes.
So, anyway, let's get to the real heart of the matter. The Goon Show.
Spike Milligan.
Yes. So tell us, what are the Goons? And remembering that, I'll let you tell the story. What are the Goons?
The Goons were an excellent radio programme back in the 1950s in Britain.
So, people, that's 1950s. That's radio, not TV.
No, not yet. Radio only comedy. So you can imagine it. All the comedy is in the ears. It's definitely a world of imagination with such famous personalities as Peter Sellers, who you might know from Dr. Strangelove or the Pink Panther, Harry Seacombe, and the author of all 250 scripts across their, I believe, 9-year run was Spike Milligan, author of Bad Jelly the Witch.
Yes, indeed. Well known on children's radio on Saturday mornings.
Yes.
But yeah. So how did they get together and what kind of comedy was it? And how did it work across radio if you have no visual props?
The sort of comedy it was this. I remember reading this one book that was just a goonography. It was saying it was the misuse of logic. You take a situation and bring it to its illogical conclusion.
You might want to give us an example.
Give us an example. This is sort of a half-remembered part of a different script, but it's essentially like someone run over and says, Commander, the enemy are over there. Oh my God, do they know you have such sensitive information? No, they think we're the enemy. Oh, relief. They don't know. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a kind of a play on situations.
It's definitely situational comedy, yeah. And it's hard to describe because a lot of the comedy they pioneered we take for granted. They really took advantage of the audio-only aspect of it, where you won't be able to see the characters, but I shall say, right, you must leave the door at once, and then you shall hear clump, 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 slam, and then the person who ordered that other person to leave will go, hold on a moment. I've walked out the door. It's really, really silly nonsense comedy that is just such a relief to the brain.
And when you do your production, the live shows, you see that happening. Is that how you framed it?
Yes. So that is the fun of doing these Goon shows. Obviously, people are paying to come see this theatre. You can listen to all the Goon shows online for free. So we thought, what exactly can we add to a theatrical production? So we're adding that physical element in, where the Goons back in ye old days of the 1950s, they did record their performances, but they did perform to a live studio audience as well. So we're trying to imagine what exactly the live studio aspect would be and how to bring that comedy to life in that way.
So you would have to collect a lot of props. All I could think of was clacking coconut shells together to make a horse run. Yeah. So
another good frame of reference is Monty Python humour. Yes, they were in the 60s and the 70s, and they were very much inspired by Spike Milligan's work.
So it's just going back because it's the 1950s. What were the topical themes at the time? Did they weave that into their production?
There are a variety of scripts that do have those topical themes. I remember last year I directed Foiled by President Fred, which was almost reflecting how the British public were reading newspaper articles of the fall of Juan Perón's regime in Argentina, sort of 300% inflation, the real devalued 2,000%, such ridiculous stuff as that. So they go to Argentina in this Goon Show production to collect a gas bill from President Fred. But obviously civil war has broken out. So how on earth do you collect a gas bill? And it's just this is a good example of the comedy we talk about. Ned Seagoon arrives at the palace of President Fred, but President Fred has made a scarper. So the rebels have taken over, and he says, all right, I've got a bill added to your address. And they go, we've just taken over now. And then he goes downstairs to read the meter, and then those rebels run away, and new ones come in, and they come up and go, you've still got this bill. And they say, we only got here just now. It just keeps on going.
Makes me wonder whether they've all said, the rebel groups have said to each other, the gas meter readers there don't, get out of out.
I'll swap with you.
And I suppose by the time somebody takes responsibility, there'll be, the peso's devalued so much the bill's worthless. Yeah.
And this other aspect of the script where he does eventually get the bill paid. Someone offers him a photograph of a $5 note and he takes it without unblinkingly. And then he says, wait a minute, this photo is a forgery.
So how well do you think that translates to today? Are there common themes you can ascribe to what's happening in the world now, or do you think it's quite dated?
That's a very good question, because there's always the question with scripts like this: do you adapt it? Do you sort of pull out the guts and try and recreate it to a Dunedin context? Aspects of it I do think are dated. When someone mentions Clement Attlee in a script, obviously you'll have no idea who that is, but that's fine. That doesn't break the aspect. I do think there's aspects of it that live on today. It's that timeless comedy, that aspect of the English language where you are just able to be so clever with it. There is also perhaps the soul of Spike Milligan's works in it. You asked what was the topical themes of the time. Being in the 50s, a great deal of the population had just come out of the Second World War.
True.
So ingrained in the Goons show is in this lack of seriousness that was quite new at the time. We take that for granted. That was new at the time because they'd come from a war where they'd really chafed at the stingy oppression of a regimented army. So they hated all regimentation in their comedy. They wanted to imagine fish hooks coming through the window to steal their lunch. They wanted to imagine giant, great international Christmas puddings. They wanted to go to Everest before anyone else in their great stories. They wanted to travel through time and space. And I feel like even today, that spirit of rebelliousness in art still persists.
Well, I think we should all be thankful for that, given what's going on in the world today.
Yes.
We need some way to speak out. But I think it was quite straight-jacketed because of World War II at the UK at the time. So it was just an ability to do whatever you like. It didn't really matter. Yeah. And so we've got these three great artists. Harry Seacombe, I think he Welsh?
Yes.
Yeah. Spike Milligan, I don't know what that's got to do with anything, but it's just something I remembered. So
They
I'm
all have
showing
very
off.
interesting backstories, yeah.
Spike Milligan and Peter Sellers.
Yeah.
So, and they played all the characters, so...
Most of them. They were also featured by Wallace Greenslade, who was an actual BBC announcer. And obviously, as is the case with most shows in the BBC sphere, he would say, "This is the Goon Show. Welcome, audience." But because Spike Milligan was writing the scripts, he would often give Wallace Greenslade
Something else
to do that might have been to the dignity of a BBC announcer quite funny, but I'm sure he had a lot of fun. There was also guest stars as well. Here's an exclusive for the OI podcast. There shall be a guest star in Ye Bandit of Sherwood Forest, but I shall say no more. I shall not be drawn.
You have to come.
You can pull my
have to
nails
come
off. You can torture me.
Oh, well, the walls are red, so they wouldn't see the blood.
Yes.
So if you want to know who the special guest star is, you have to come and see
Exactly.
in the Ye Bandit. So you're running them both at one session.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So we're
Two
running the dreaded
programs in
battle.
one.
Yeah, two scripts in one, a real deal. We're crazy. We're crazy here. Crazy on good deals on theatre. We're running.
You've got to make some money though. Careful.
I know.
That's why we're not having all those big props.
Exactly. The producer says I'm mad, but I'm just so dedicated to good deals. Even we might lose money, but for you, the dear audience, we're doing the dreaded batter pudding hurler of Bexhill-on-Sea, a very famous script, ranked quite high in the Goon Show fandom. And then we are having a brief intermission, and then we are doing Ye Bandit of Sherwood Forest. They're both roughly half an hour long scripts, so we thought if we're upping our game for professional theatre, if we're upping our price to professional theatre, why not give a show that is the assumed length of most shows that you pay money to go and see?
So I think we could all guess what Ye Bandit of Sherwood Forest is about, Robin Hood and merry men. But what on earth is a dreaded batter pudding hurler, or what is a batter pudding? Do you?
I have been educated. I have been educated by my dear old mum. I believe.
Shout out!
Power!
Yeah.
I believe batter puddings are the leftover batter from a cake or a general
it's the
product.
one you normally lick the spoon.
You almost lick the spoon, but no. Back in the days of the old rationing regimen, which we all remember fondly. You use that batter to recreate something. So while obviously it might be difficult to represent on stage, you can imagine this kind of gooey, gelatinous. It's not a solid, but it's got the texture of it's sticky, but it's kind of like a cake. It's still that golden texture. Yeah. And
I can't believe this leftover batter, when you make a cake. I mean, never is at our house. There's hardly anything to lick the bowl, but yeah.
So while Ye Bandit of Sherwood Forest is our pantomime special, we missed the train. It didn't get here for December because there were no trains back in those days of Ye Old Bandits. But the dreaded batter pudding hurler is a whodunit. Who of the cast? Is it Minnie Bannister? Is it Ned Seagoon? Is it Hercules Grit Pipe Thine? Perhaps perhaps even Blue Bottle, who is throwing the dreaded batter puddings.
And, well, listeners, you're going to have to come along and find out because we're not going to give it away here.
No.
But Blue Bottle is quite a key character, isn't he?
Oh, all the characters are quite keen. But Blue Bottle is definitely part of the main cast. A real fan favourite. So much so that at the start of the show, Blue Bottle would come on stage and pose, and no one would applaud, and he'd cry. But it took months for him to come on stage, and just the audience would applaud for him coming on stage. Same with Eccles.
So what are these key characters? You know, what I mean by that, they're long lived. If you know the Goons shows, then you know of Eccles and you know of Blue Bottle. So so tell us a bit about them and which of the Goons played them.
So Harry Seacombe only really played one character. It's the titular main character, Neddy Seagoon, a British hero and fool always. Most Goon shows involve this hapless little fool getting taken advantage of. He's sort of like, I must fight for England.
Right.
And then he runs away.
Right.
Yeah. Then you have the Mad Dan Eccles, a famous man in rags, born time unknown, briefly made Minister of the Crown until the printing error was discovered. Eccles wanders around the streets wearing a boot on his head, saying his favourite word. Hello, dear. He's a slack-jawed idiot, and he's not an idiot. He's quite smart secretly underneath, but that intelligence betrays an even deeper stupidity. Then you've got Blue Bottle, a lovely...
Not a fly.
Not a fly.
Oh, like Blue Bottle's fly.
Oh, no, not a fly, not a fly. He's, in fact, a little chirpy public school boy who was always playing truant. Cardboard cutout hero. He's full of energy and usually dies at the end of each script, and he's quite annoyed about it. He started writing to the producers, but he doesn't actually know how to spell yet, so who knows? That's the main trio, you'd say, but then there's almost a gallery of foolish idiots behind this gallery of foolish idiots. You've got Major Dennis Bloodnock, who is a honourable member of the British Army, a incredibly oafish man who always has his hand in the army till, just an awful flatulent womanising, just a real caricature of those British officers.
I could see all those characters are kind of a place and time
appearing. Yes. Then you have Hercules Grippipe Thine, the only sane man in the room, but that's a matter of perspective.
You've got a low bar.
Exactly. He's our suave villain. Then you've got Moriarty, a recently impoverished French aristocrat who usually follows Grippipe Thine around, snarling and sniffing the air for money in the wind.
So, but not what's his name? Sherlock Holmes' Moriarty.
No, not Sherlock Holmes' Moriarty. The characters have nothing to do with each other in personality or anything really, though Spike Milligan did joke that Moriarty, when he perished in the original Sherlock Holmes books, spoiler, that he was reborn in the Goon show.
Right.
But in terms of personality and just any substance,
it was obviously just
totally
a good
different
name to use, perhaps. Yeah.
Count Jim Moriarty.
So you guys must have a lot of fun pulling this all together.
Yeah. It's a great deal of fun. Comedy is one of those strange things, and comic theatre, where it's simultaneously fun and incredibly hard work, because you're not just working on a character basis. And it's not something where any small deviation can just be, that's realism. It's 1.5 hours of theatre that has to be so consistently precise as to just be perfect to get you to laugh at that point. So it's fun and it's work, because it isn't meant, in truth, work in theatre has to be fun for us, but it's not for us.
Right,
it shall be fun for you. We work for you, dear audience.
And, of course, humour's all about timing, so that's when you're talking about that precision. You can't really ad-lib too much, or it might just throw the whole script or the ethos of the play out.
It's a surgery, yeah.
Surgical strikes, yes. Just check my notes here, listeners. So do you know what inspired the Goon Show other than that need to break free? Or how did they get together, these three guys? Because I know Monty Python met at uni, didn't they? Yeah.
I think the exact detail, I think they did actually meet in the war.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I think they actually did meet in the war. There is this one famous story, and I can't remember the exact names and who was where, but that essentially one of the members of the Goons was driving a truck up the hill in North Africa, and that someone had stopped them and said, hello, have you seen an artillery piece, perchance? Because this other member of the Goon Show, this other member of this gallery of idiots, he'd trundled up his artillery piece to the top of the hill, and it said, fire! And then it's fired, and you can imagine it went, bing! And rolled down the hill. Because they'd forgot to put the stops on the wheels. Things like this, with such an army. Of course, Britain won.
Some might say they had a little help on the way.
No.
Not from their perspective, no. Yeah. So you, what else could we talk about the Goons? Yeah. So how long, you said it ran for 9 years?
Yeah.
And why did it stop? Did society move on, or?
I think the Goon Show did just reach the natural end of its life. They did. All the performers just keep doing things. They produced things like the Telegoons. There were, I think, a few specials afterwards, but there was an end of the road. I think it's been said that theatre is for the the manic depressives. It was a lot of work for Spike Milligan to write 250 scripts, perform on 250 scripts. Work really closely with the sound people. The demands and the work were really, really quite intense. And when you think about it, 9 years is almost, you think, blimey, that's so long. 9 years is more than I've spent in uni, more than I've spent in high school or intermediate. I think a lot of people who are listening will think, how do you maintain something for 9 years of that degree of calibre and work? My Goons are coming to 3 years doing this sort of thing, and I can tell you, they are wheezing up the hill at the moment.
And it's not like some long-running shows you can swap in and out the main characters or the actors, like Doctor Who. Like, what a great thing. You can just regenerate somebody when whoever's currently playing it's getting a bit sick of it. But that wouldn't really work for the Goons. It would be like swapping the characters in Monty Python or something, the actors. It would...
Well, I'd argue that I have successfully regenerated it with my lovely show. After 3 years of working it, they've really, really got into it. And that's almost the strange thing with adapting theatre. You kind of have to accept that you're not actually recreating something. I might as well be saying I'm doing Harry Almey's The Goon Show, because obviously it was written by Spike Milligan, but there is no point pretending that this is one for one. I have different human beings with these different strengths, emphases, and talents. That I'm doing my best to bring it back to life, but part of the fun is seeing it made anew, like the Phoenix.
True, because we can't recreate the original because those people just aren't here anymore. No. So it's about a variation on a theme, but trying to remain as true to the theme as possible.
That is what you are taught quite firmly in the theatre studies program. They very much they very much try and get us. I obviously I'm an exception. I'm the director, but the actors, I tell them not to listen to the original scripts. I tell them to read it. Right. Because if they listen to it, then my lovely Broadhead, when doing Ned Seagoon, will try and do an impression of Ned Seagoon. Whereas my job as the director is to try and get them to be Ned Seagoon, but it is Broadhead playing Ned Seagoon, not Harry Seacombe. Yes,
yeah. That's a good point, because you don't want to do an impression of them. You want to do your own Goons. Yeah.
Yeah, you're coming to see new art.
Yeah. And I think that's important, dear listeners, that this is new art. So if you are really a Goon fan, then I think you need to take it as it is. It's like when you read a good book and then you see the movie and you think the movie's not quite up to the book, but they're two different vehicles for displaying the story, so to speak. Yeah. So, yeah.
And that is us working for our money, putting the work into it and not just lazily slapping things together. We are staying true to the scripts, but we have a sound designer. We have a lighting designer. We have stage design, and we have new performers. This is us filling in the gaps and using that creative space to recreate it on our own terms.
Fantastic. So can you give us some idea of some of the tricks like you use to create those sound effects, like the coconuts, or and where do you rummage through your parents' house or go to second-hand stores? Or where do you get the stuff from? Like, am I going to go there? Hey, look, there's Helen's tablecloth or something like that on stage. Yeah,
it is definitely a very eclectic process, and like I said, I think I have a lot to do with my history in prop comedy that gives me that insight. Yeah, it is a bit eclectic. So, like, for instance, we needed a metal mug, so we went throughout a few op shops and we eventually found one, because that's not around very often. We needed a desk. We just had a desk in the garage. We needed to create a lovely wind chime. We had a box of old useless keys sitting around, a wooden coat hanger, and hey presto, off you go. There is an aspect to doing low-budget theatre that forces creativity. One of my good friends, who also went through high school here in Dunedin, has gone off to Wellington and has come back and said, it's not all that. There is something about all the cards that are stacked against us in Dunedin with not having a professional theatre venue and not having all the highfalutin things of Wellington that forces a bit of grit, that we persist despite it. I think produces greater art, that we struggle for it. I think create something much better. So it is, as you said, a combination. With these sounds, I try to create as much sounds as I can live on stage. That is my hope, that is my goal, because that's what radio shows do and used to do. The rest we create through our sound system, and I'm driving my sound designer mad. Legend says she sits on her computer with headphones in, saying things like, "Bing, sound of elephant dying." Like,
so that's interesting. You said, you're a friend from Wellington. So you think there's like a Dunedin theatre, as there is a Dunedin sound. It is specific because of the conditions under which you have to produce. Yeah. And do you think the theatre or people in your industry miss professional theatre?
I think that they must do. Theatre in Dunedin is definitely much more community, and I say community like it's just a word or a category. It's what you do after work, so you have a community. So it has really ossified and solidified as that. I think that's part of why the Fringe Festival is so important, because we're trying to prove that despite it all, we can do professional theatre here. We can retain talent, because obviously, we do miss professional theatre, because for some people they need community theatre, but people like me and my production team, we need to pay the bills, and we don't want to leave Dunedin. We don't want to be forced to go to Australia. So of course, we do miss that. And that's kind of the challenge that we've been laid. Can we do this in this Fringe Festival? Yes, we can.
It's great to hear. And if there was a professional theatre company, that's when aspiring actors and students would get an introduction to them. Perhaps not saying that community theatre is not professional, but in how that whole professional theatre works, which is more on a professional basis, obviously, but less community support, community production. So that would be a wee bit that's kind of missing. Yeah,
professional theatre, unless it's in a Fringe Festival, you don't pay the bills unless it's touring. So you are relying upon communities to an extent. You are going to another city and you are saying, hey, can anyone give us a hand? But you do uproot and you do tour. I've not had to do that. I can't speak to that, but I would imagine that is a little bit alienating, a bit lonely.
Yeah. I was going to go somewhere and I've just gone right out of my head. So perhaps I've gone on a tour. So, the Allen Hall Theatre.
Yes.
So that's kind of a cornerstone of theatre in the city. So do you know how long it's been around?
No, since the dawn of time, I assume.
Yeah, so did I. I just suddenly thought about that. It's always been on that corner at the university.
Yes, so dear listeners, Allen Hall Theatre, Google Maps is very bad at directing you to Allen Hall Theatre. If you know where Unicol is, if you know what the business school is, if you know where the clock tower is, Allen Hall is not far away.
Yeah, so I would go to the clock tower and then go right. It's on the corner. Yeah, and it's opposite St. Margaret's. Is it St. Margaret's?
It is opposite
College?
Uni College.
Oh, is that what they call it?
Yeah.
And it's St. Margaret's.
St. Margaret's is further down the road,
Yeah.
down Little Leith Street, as I like to call it.
Oh, yes, that's true. Where you go?
Allen Hall Theatre is an incredible place to be, such an old and hallowed building. And we're very lucky to have the support of Martin Roberts as the lovely, lovely manager of this great establishment.
And so does Martin work for the uni? Is it a university?
Yeah. Key person in the theatre studies program.
Right. And do you have to pay to hire it? Or did the okay. So
we did pay to hire it, but we, the Steps Beyond program, the cream of the crop of the class of 2023, marching forward together, arms and linked together. I really, really encourage people to watch my show, then Adeline's Cottage, then Pas de Trois.
Okay.
They are the people to support. They are the future of student art here in Dunedin. We all crowdfunded through a boosted campaign to support each other, and that crowdfunding and those grants all paid for all 3 shows to get into Allen Hall.
Oh, okay.
Obviously with the discount thanks to Fringe.
Yeah, yes. So, I must have missed that crowdfunding. I'll have to give you a donation.
The moral support is always appreciated, of course.
So, what's next then for you once you finish this?
Oh, a long holiday. I'm thinking Hawaii? Oh no, somewhere cold, Siberia. I've got the right shirt on. All my shirts. Dear listeners, today is such a warm day. It must be the first day in a long time that I'm not wearing my iconic purple coat.
Oh, yes.
So I must apologise. I've let down the brand. But yeah, after this, as is the case with all theatre shows, theatre runs you ragged, and you take a break, and then you miss it, and then you come back. It sucks you back in. It's such incredible work. It's such incredible fun. It's like playing a sports team. It's like marching in the army. You struggle together, and you form quite close bonds.
And you've got a side gig going on as a critic.
Yes, indeed. I wouldn't characterise it as a side gig. I've been happily employed as a staff writer at Critic Te Arahi. So you obviously will be able to see some of the work I've done in issue 1, and the future shall hold some fun stuff.
Oh, exciting. So quite a year ahead for you then.
Yes. Always good to have the opportunity to ply your trade in writing and creative stuff. Take any opportunity, dear listeners, if you are an artsy person, to work for money in those regards.
Better to be warm than cold.
Yes.
Yeah. So what else would you like to say about the Goons in the show?
I would love to just list off my lovely, lovely actors and their incredible pedigree. We have the one, the only Connor Broadhead playing Ned Seagoon, and obviously Harry Seacombe as well. What an incredible performer that individual is. The semi-finalist in theatre sports for 2 years running, and then joined theatre studies to do such papers as improvisation. One day they told me they were a very good slapstick performer, so I said, all right, and I asked them to put their money where their mouth was. I cast them in Break a Leg, and then this is the 4th show that I'm directing them in. That is the trust and the bond that we have put together. Recently, I put out a video where I was having a satirical little battle of words with Craig Daniels' Campus Watch. That video where Broadhead is performing, that's barely scripted. I just gave them a few pointers, and they just went off. Such an incredible improv performer they are. Such incredible energy. Then, in the role of Eccles, of Minnie Bannister and the evil Moriarty, we have Lily Lindley, such an incredible performer as well, who I've also worked with since Break a Leg as well. Such deep tones, they just embody those roles so excellently. They are the moon in our performance, where they embody such different the incredible joy of Eccles, happy despite it all, and the dark menacing evil of Moriarty. They do it all. Then we have Oisin Ben, a Polytech student represented in our show. I met him when we tried to get into Empressaurus, and while we were unsuccessful in that regard, I saw in that individual such incredible energy that they were just perfect for such roles as Blue Bottle and Bloodknock. Again, such different shades, but they do it all. And then finally, our newest recruit, so Oisin Ben was in my 2 Goon shows, not Break a Leg. for the first time ever, Sam Kelly of Sextet royalty of Capping Show pedigree is joining us for our show. What an incredibly professional individual he is, and with such incredible talent with singing and performing as well. I get quite embarrassed at the end of my rehearsals, dear listeners, because I'm really reaching to have an excuse to keep Sam late for notes because I've got so little to say. He's just blown the water, and Sam Kelly is playing the role of Wallace Greenslade. Obviously, so we've got Oisin Ben playing Peter Sellers, Lily Lindley playing Spike Milligan, Connor Broadhead playing Harry Seacombe and their adjacent characters. But sometimes it doesn't logistically work to split up the characters like that, so we have given some extra characters to Sam Kelly.
Okay.
So he has a reason to be on stage. Wallace Greenslade has some excellent moments, dear listeners, but not enough to justify having a role with an actor just only doing 9 or 18 lines. Sam is worth a little bit more.
Oh,
Sam is worth maybe 4 times more, that I'm thinking. And that is my lovely, lovely cast.
Well, they sound amazing. And it's obviously quite a high degree of trust between the actors and the director because you want them to produce what you have in your head, but then they also want to be able to trust you for you to give them the right direction so they can do that. Is that kind of how it works?
Yeah. My approach to directing has always been this excellent collaborative approach. That my actors will sometimes give me stuff that I've not asked for, and I'll go, "Wow, incredible!" And obviously, you need to create the confines. It's kind of like you're the teacher at a sandbox, and there's all this Lego everywhere, and you've given them a few rules, and maybe at a moment you'll go, "Right, I want you to do this. I've thought about this. You haven't thought about that." But turn your back for one moment, and they'll make a skyscraper out of Lego. I trust them with my lives, let alone my show. But yeah, there is that lovely collaborative approach where we combine our ideas to create this lovely thing. I do rely very much on my actors as incredible creatives.
And you must also have to then, to start that creative process off, you must be able to get across what you want,
yes.
your idea of what the concept is, and then you can go with that. So
yes.
Yeah. So any hints about how people could do that?
I think part of it is just keeping your eye on your schedule, knowing where you're going. The actors don't need to know where you're going at all times because they've got to focus on this moment in time. You as a director have to be quite disciplined. You Trudy, you're my actor. I want you to do, say, 5 new different things. But if I tell you, right, I want you this time do it again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you'll be just all confused. Where are you supposed to focus on? So you have to be quite disciplined. You have to get them to work on one thing at a time and just trust. I think it's not just trust with actor or director. When you're the director and you're looking at the schedule, you can panic. You can go, oh my goodness, do I have enough time? But you have to trust in the process. You have to emanate this confidence. All of the actors can be scared to the world and back, but if the director doesn't have trust in the process, then you might as well go home. You've just got to have, despite any evidence in front of your head, you've just got to have the trust of a zealot that you're going to do well. And that energy alone, I think, is what is necessary to drive you forward. And
that process, that's a theatrical process you're talking about.
Sorry, just a little bit more specific?
I don't know, again, you do this magical process, but it's about how you bring all these component parts together and produce a show. Yeah, it really it kind of depends because a lot of techniques work for different people. I like to give the actors some, like we'll do a scene, and this is the first time we've done a scene. I'll say, right, in this scene, this happens, this happens, this happens. But if they understand the characters, then you don't have to tell them a lot. You'll let them do it, right?
And it might be bad, but they need to make discoveries on their feet. They need to work it out on their own. They need to get on the bicycle and start pedaling. And once they fall over, then you can give them pointers, and then you can start getting into the details. That's my more theatrical process. It's a lot of making it up as you go and just grasping at tools. I remember one note I gave where I was like, I want Broadhead to approach this with a certain energy, to talk in a certain way, but how do I convey that to them without micromanaging them? You never want to just puppeteer them. And I said, right, in this scene, I need you to try earnestly to make that other person break, to make them burst out into laughter. And that was the direction that they needed to hear. That was the attitude they needed to assume. I think it's all about attitudes, how you react to things, that the director and the actor really needs to work out.
And of course, until you do that, until you start putting those bits and pieces into motion, you don't know how it's going to work, because it might look like one thing in your head or on the script or whatever, and then you think, okay, so that bit might work better if we do it like this. And then of course, they will bring their own, own talents and own views of stuff to it, which, so it's quite... It's a bit like cooking a batter pudding, if you ask me.
It does always come back to that trust. I have to trust that they will give me ideas, that they will generate ideas, and that I will give them feedback. I'll either go, no, don't do this, do this, but without them being so generous, it would just be me. It would just be me, and I'm only one person. Why not a show devised by 5 of those incredible minds?
Yeah. And they must really enjoy it, because they've come back again and again.
Yeah.
So, that's fantastic.
I know, I always manage to rope them back in.
They haven't left town and gone to uni somewhere else. It would be quite drastic.
They're knocking on the door right now, I think, begging for food.
Fair enough. Right, so... Yeah, that's it. So the Fringe Festival, the Goons show, so it's the batter pudding hurler of Bexhill-on-Sea. Like, where do the Brits get these names from?
The dreaded batter pudding hurler of Bexhill-on-Sea and ye bandit of Sherwood Forest. Ahoy!
So, at the Fringe Festival, but this show's at the Allen Hall Theatre, but there are lots of other shows around. Great choice to choose from, a fantastic concept giving our local people a chance to shine, as well as people to go and watch as well. And there are some international acts and some really cool people, but it's going to be fantastic. So thanks very much for coming in, Harry, and sharing your love of the Goons and theatre with us. So that was the Otago Institute podcast for this week. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You've been listening to the OI podcast, the shout out for the arts, sciences and Mataranga Māori.
You can support this podcast by becoming a member of the OI. Check out the Otago Institute for Arts and Sciences on Facebook or our website.
If you'd like to listen again to this episode or others from the series, look for the OI podcast on ORFM's website, oar.org.nz.
Brought to you by the Otago Institute for Arts and Sciences, the Otago branch of the Royal Society of New Zealand.
This podcast was produced by ORFM Dunedin with support from New Zealand On the Air.